I'm recognizing that there's a lot that people don't know about DC, and especially in this time with this federal takeover. Here's some information that y'all really need to know. Let's start with the fact that DC is not a state, which was actually established by the Constitution. Because it is a district, we are under the federal jurisdiction of the United States Congress. Washington, D.C. has no representation in the Senate. And if you are a Washington, D.C. resident, you pay some of the highest federal taxes in the nation, which means that D.C. residents also have no say in who is appointed to federal positions, like the president's cabinet or people who are appointed to be U.S. ambassadors in international countries. D.C. residents have no voice in who's appointed as federal judges on benches, nor has any voice about who's appointed in the Supreme Court. This is where you may have heard the saying, or maybe have seen it on a Washington, D.C. license plate: no taxation without representation. Because the government levies taxes on DC residents, but does not give them a voice when it comes to representation in government. Another fun fact that you should know about DC is that DC residents could not vote in elections before 1961. Yes, that includes for president, vice president, House of Representatives, and the Senate. And this was because of the Electoral College. So let's break this down. The number of electoral votes each state gets depends on how many members of the Senate and the House that they have. But DC isn't a state. So again, it has no voting representatives in Congress. So the 23rd Amendment that was passed in 1961 gave DC a small number of electoral votes to allow DC residents to actually vote in elections. And the last thing that I've seen on the internet that I recognize people did not know is that DC does not have a governor. Again, because DC is not a state, but DC has a mayor, and the mayor is the chief executive. The mayor enforces the law in DC, prepares the annual budget, approves or vetoes bills from the city council. And the mayor of DC also ensures, or is supposed to ensure, public safety with control over the police department and the fire department. DC residents can elect the mayor and the city council as a result of the Home Rule Act. However, as you all have seen, the President of the United States can deploy the National Guard and assume control over the Metropolitan Police Department for emergencies and for a limited time. So hopefully this gives y'all a much better understanding of the District of Columbia and why it is that residents have been fighting for years for statehood.